had. There's one or two people joining us at the back, but some of you have been here quite a while, so I don't want to keep you waiting. Well, hello, my name is Linda, and I'd be very, very disappointed if the majority of people in this room didn't know that. And of course, I'm chair of Leeds Teaching Hospitals Trust. So, good afternoon and welcome. And it's always great because we always seem to manage to fill this room. And I know that I think people will be coming and going. And I know how many have registered to come, so we're not quite where we should be yet. But I don't want to waste your time, so let's move on. Yes, they're streaming in now at the back, so forgive for a bit of noise. I've got to do the housekeeping for those who don't know the building terribly well. We've got fire exits. I like to do this bit. Okay.
Remember your left and your right.
Absolutely. So if you go out the bottom door here, you turn left, and if you go out the top door, you turn right and you follow the way out. And there'll be people, stuff on around to help you get out safely. So the toilets are near the main entrance of Gledhow as you've come in. Most people have come in through the front door, and there is a reception desk there if you can't find it, so please do ask. No fire alarm at all expected, so if it goes off we have to go, literally, and believe me, there'll be a lot of people around us. And could I please ask you if you'll turn either your phones off or onto silent? And I've only just remembered to do mine, so that would be helpful. Well, I'd like to thank you again because we've got quite a few regular faces in the audience, and a lot of you do take the time to support us and come along every year to our meeting. And it's nice also to see quite a number of our own staff. So it's especially good to see you here with us today. And I also hope for everybody, whether you're staff, patients, partners, any part of however we touch, that we'll really inform you today as to what we do. It's multimedia, so there's quite a lot to see, so you're not just having me, Julian or Simon talking at you, and I think a little bit of entertainment in there, I hope, as well. Now then, we also have, as you know, the format of the day is I will be doing my piece. Julian will be coming on intermittently with the videos introduced. Simon will give you the financial numbers for last year. But then we come on to the Q&A. And of course, this is towards the end. But I've been saying this for the last couple of years to you, that we need to be clear about the purpose of the Q&A sessions, because we got a lot of this on feedback about 3 years ago. And it is to respond, our answers will be to respond to questions about the work that we've been reporting on. And we absolutely recognise that some of you will have more personal questions that you'd like to ask. So, and that's been evident, as I said, over the last few years. So we've arranged for our PALS team, Patient Advice and Liaison Service team, to be on hand. They're right outside the door by the reception. So please, if you have a personal question that isn't probably suitable to be asked in this forum, please go to them. Any member of staff will guide you to them if you're not certain if you've got the right area. But they are here to help. Well, welcome to our public meeting. So, when we talk about how the hospital has performed during the past year, so most of what you're going to hear today will be about what's happened, and this is between April 2018 and March 19. So of course we've moved on a little bit now because we're September and we're into yet another challenging year for the NHS. However, having said that, part of what we'd like to do today is to tell you how we are using the success that we've had in recent years to drive forward our ambitions to be absolutely in the top echelons of NHS hospital trusts. And it's been quite a journey, this, but we're there and we're getting there. Yes, you're never there in the NHS because of all the excitement we have around us, talk about the politics now, but don't talk about that today. For those who then don't know me, I'm the chair of the Trust Board, and we have with me today my supports, all here at the front. So please, later on in the day, if you want to talk to any member of the board, there's only 2 apologies today, so they're all here to help you talk about. Our executive team are here, non-execs, executive, we're all a mix around the table. And you're going to hear about the important work that they all do. Though they aren't just sitting around a board table just to have a board meeting, believe me. And I'm always asked, what do people do? So I'm going to show you what they do in a minute. We're all quite proud to be here at Leeds Teaching Hospital. And it's especially proud when it comes to the AGM because we can showcase all the work that we've put in over the year. And it has been yet another challenging year. On top of that, we're quite good at wanting to show off, which is never a bad thing, especially with those that sit above us. But you have to deliver to do that. And when I sat at the weekend trying to think, how do you summarise the work over a year of a hospital trust that employs 18,000 staff? We spend 1.2 billion of public money a year. And I have to say, it's a real privilege. It's a privilege to be part of this board. It's a privilege to be part of the senior team and to work with 18,000 amazing people. So much has happened over this year, and to be frank, every year that we have been a team. And although we can't cover everything, we will try to give you a sense of the progress that we've made during the 18-19 financial year. You should have a copy, or there's copies around, of the infographic showing this slide behind me. There should be on chairs. If you want one, please stick your hand up if you haven't got one, because there's staff around that will make sure you can have one. And you can see some of the amazing progress that we've made during last year. It's hard to see, that's why I say if you haven't got an infographic, then ask for one. So, in a moment, you'll hear much more about our activity and performance from the Chief Executive, Julian Hartley, who most of you know. But I'd like just to say a few words about the agenda today. Again, the agenda should be on your chairs, so if you haven't got a copy and you want a copy, please wave your hand up and we'll get one to you. So I have 3 main things I'd like to cover in my presentation. For each of them, there is a short video, which I hope will be a helpful way of showing you about the achievements and our plans for the future. And these roughly cover the following areas. The work of the non-execs around the Trust Board, because I'm often asked, what do they do? And I'm sure if you asked any one of them, they'd give you a really good lengthy answer to that. The second one is the progress with our exciting plans for the redevelopment of the LGI site and the new Leeds Children's Hospital. And then the third part will be how we are building on the foundations we have laid to become a really successful NHS trust and one of the country's leading hospitals for integrated and specialist care, for teaching and for research. So we've got quite a big remit. So when I've done that, as you can see, I will then ask Julian to give an overview of some of our key achievements through the year. And we'll hear then from our Director of Finance, Simon Worthington, to share with you some of the details around our financial performance. And then finally, we'll hear about how our official charity, Leeds Cares, and Andrew Cratchley's here, the acting CEO. Good to have you with us, Andrew, today. And how they have worked hard around the trustee board to help support the work we do. I hope that some of you might be helping them, Leeds Cares, in the ongoing dreadful day yesterday in the rain. Did you have fun? I bet you did.
I
came home.
No, I didn't. It was too wet.
Well, of course, as most of you know, they've got a very high-profile UCI World Championship road cycling event that's going on in Yorkshire, obviously centred in Harrogate and around our beautiful Yorkshire countryside. And Leeds Cares is the anchor charity for the UCI World Championship, so we're quite proud to be an active part of that. And one of our non-execs, apart from me, I sit as a trustee on Leeds Cares, is also Chris Schofield, lawyer, there we go, is also a trustee on Leeds Cares. And I really want to say that to staff more than anybody, because Leeds Cares is the charity for Leeds Teaching Hospitals Trust, and sometimes I think we lose that. So let's start, as I said, with our non-executives. And our non-executives are the people recruited to our trust board, and they play an enormously important role in bringing specific knowledge and skills, and crucially, they bring an independent perspective to the boardroom. In addition, they bring their own career experience and skills, and we benefit round our board. It's a very diverse board, I'm pleased to tell you, of commercial, legal, medical, research, HR, accounting and IT professionals. And they all provide that input into the trust board here at Leeds Teaching Hospitals. So together they support the executive and the senior management team, they scrutinise and they provide the independent challenge to the trust board and constantly seek the assurance from the executive that the information and decision making we make at the board are the right ones. So it's quite a task when I tell you 18,000 people, 1.2 billion turnover and 6 sites. That's one heck of a responsibility. But we work together, the trust board, and we work together consistently throughout the year at board meetings, board committees, where executives and senior managers are held to account. We've just had one this morning, finance and performance, for meeting our objectives, as well as local and national standards through constructive challenge and debate. And I think that's important to say that, because we are a very collegiate board. It's quite challenging, it's a very challenging board at times, but we work as a team. And we work on developing the strategy for our trust and contribute to the vision and ambition. Some of the non-executives are chairs of very key committees, but all non-execs are on at least one committee and when out with colleagues when we do our board to ward, unannounced visits right through the year, morning, afternoon, night and weekends. It helps us to understand the challenges our staff face to ensure that we constantly strive to deliver high quality care, ensure efficiencies, and that our strategy that I talked about a minute ago supports those in continual improvements in care. So I'm just going to stop for a minute, because rather than talk about the non-execs, I'm going to show you them. As chair of Leeds Teaching Hospitals NHS Trust, I'm well aware what an absolutely vital role our non-executive directors play in helping to achieve our strategic goal of delivering world-class specialist and integrated care. I'm proud to say we have a brilliant team on board, who each bring with them specific skills and expertise from a wide range of professional backgrounds. Their knowledge of finance, law, education, IT&D, innovation and research, estates, HR, and many with strong commercial backgrounds ensures we are focusing our efforts in the right areas, helping us to achieve a financial surplus and positioning us as one of the leading NHS trusts for financial sustainability and delivery of first-class services. At the same time, our non-execs are also hugely dedicated and they give tremendous support to our clinical and support teams. Their personal commitment ensures that decisions made at board level are always influenced by discussions with staff, patients and visitors, always focusing on the front line. Our Board to Ward programme enables non-executive directors to visit wards and departments on a regular basis. This enables them to sense check what they discuss and debate within their committees. This rolling programme helps the Board to drive improvements in patient care and also supports the well-being of our workforce. Our Board includes non-executives who have frontline NHS experience, which brings a new perspective on how to make sure that Leeds Teaching Hospitals is absolutely the best place to work. We are leading the way nationally with digital developments that will transform systems supporting diagnosis, treatment and care, and we are privileged to have non-executives with global experience in this area to steer and guide us so that we can make our vision for the future a reality. Our ambition to have 2 new hospitals is moving ever closer to fruition, thanks to our non-executive expert knowledge of capital building schemes. Our exciting plans are being shaped by their insights as well as feedback from the wider community to help us deliver 21st century healthcare. As a Board, we value and also benefit from the challenges and support provided by our non-executives to our executive team, and they input into strategic decision making, ensuring we use our resources effectively and efficiently. Most importantly of all, they represent you, our patients, visitors and staff, and seek to ensure that your interests are properly represented and that we are living the values of the Leeds way. They hold all of us to account for providing high quality, patient-centred care. Many of our non-executive directors are new to the team, but we still hold the same values as the ones that we started 6 years ago in Leeds way. And that will continue because the vision we have for Leeds Teaching Hospitals is a big one. And this team are going to take us there. Okay. They asked to do that video because they didn't want to individually get up and speak to you. Yeah, sigh of relief. There you go. But you can see what we've tried to do there is to show you that how active and how involved and how important they are, because they form a really crucial part of the senior team. And it helps because it strengthens the expertise around the table, and a lot of them are coming from big corporates with huge CVs and fantastic backgrounds, and that helps us, and it will help us certainly in the future take forward the vision that we hold for this organisation. So let's move on, because they contribute, as I said, to this wide range of backgrounds and perspectives. And through their diversity, they bring another dimension to the values that we have developed here. And you heard on the video, and you heard it before, it's the Leeds way, and it is our way, it is a very special way of the way that we conduct ourselves in this organisation and the culture that we've formed. And so, moving on to kind of section 2 here, we're going to be talking about the ambition that we've got. So section 2 is all about the hospitals of the future. And what I've tried to do there is to, when I come on to this, because the vision is big, is to have assured you that we have the right skills, talent and expertise around the table to say when we're setting our strategy for the future that we've thought about it, we've done it properly, and we're going to deliver it, and we're going to influence the influencers to make sure it actually does happen. So, Hospitals of the Future is our ambition and exciting vision to build 2 new hospitals on the site of the old nurses' home at Leeds General Infirmary, and to make improvements also to our other sites. And I mentioned earlier we have in total 6 sites. The first will be a state-of-the-art hospital for adult health services with a new outpatients hub, and new theatres for day surgery and added critical care. The second will be a fantastic new hospital for children and young people. Now, some of you may know that Leeds already has a children's hospital, but its location is probably one of Leeds' best kept secrets. And yet, believe it or not, it is actually one of the biggest in the UK. And it sees 250,000 young patients a year. So that's 250,000 of young people going through a building that is not currently fit for purpose. Our services and outcomes rival many names that are very, very familiar to you. Great Ormond Street and Alderhay Children's Hospitals. They're smaller than us, but they're standalone sites that just crack on with delivering all the services we do in much, much better facility. So our children's hospital isn't just for patients in Leeds, it's a regional and national centre for a number of specialist services and internationally recognised for paediatric research, and we've more than 100 active studies, research studies, taking place as we speak. So our teams are pioneering.
You tried to turn it off.
Yes, it'll be see me tomorrow.
Sorry. Sorry, miss.
Sorry, miss. Yeah.
Sorry, boss.
Oh, notice it's gone up a notch. It's not sorry, miss, it's sorry, boss. Oh. Our teams at Children's Hospital, our teams are pioneering, known around the world for cardiac and neurosurgery, liver transplantation surgery, to improve the mobility of children with cerebral palsy. And quite frankly, I could just go on at that length because those are just a few examples. We have the expertise and we have world-class services. But at the moment, we don't have the buildings and facilities to match. And it does come back to how then we are productive appropriately and we have the right efficiencies in place, working out of buildings that are simply not efficient. Currently, our children's hospital is housed in Clarendon Wing at Leeds General Infirmary. It's difficult to find and its services are not all in the same place, making it again difficult to coordinate the care, and it also puts extra pressure on our staff. The new Leeds Hospital, however, will be something really special. An amazing environment specifically designed and purpose-built around the needs of our young patients, whether they are 5 or 15. So I'm going to show you a short film showing the ambition for the LGI site.
Leeds Teaching Hospitals NHS Trust has a vision to reshape healthcare for patients from Leeds, West Yorkshire and the wider region. Called Hospitals of the Future, our ambition focuses on developing 2 state-of-the-art hospitals on the Leeds General Infirmary site, one for adults and the other a brand new Leeds Children's Hospital as part of a wider transformation programme for the Trust. Both will be flagship hospitals, digital by design and built to enable exceptional healthcare and specialist services for patients based on new technologies, treatments, innovation and research. Going inside, it's clear the new hospitals will be a completely different experience for patients. The light-filled atrium will serve both hospitals and will be a welcoming space for patients and visitors with views of the outside, places to sit and a cafe. Panning around, we can see how the hospitals link to Jubilee Wing on the left. These are digital hospitals and technology will support patients at every stage of their hospital journey, from check-in and wayfinding to their treatment and care. On the next level, adult outpatient services will be centralised in a new hub supported by key services like radiology. This will be a far better experience for patients, efficient, coordinated, and designed to support new ways of delivering care in the future. In this outpatient treatment room, clinicians and a patient consult via a digital link. Where appropriate, technology will support access to care without the need for coming into hospital, particularly in outpatients. We'll deliver more day case surgery within new dedicated theatres with cutting-edge equipment and technology, reducing hospital stays. Additional critical care facilities will enable us to meet the growing regional demand for specialist services like cardiac and neurosurgery. The new maternity unit brings together inpatient maternity services on one site, adding a new dedicated midwifery unit for Leeds to offer women more choice. These maternity proposals will be subject to formal consultation. Back out on level C, we move into the brand new Leeds Children's Hospital, an amazing new home for our world-class paediatric treatment and care. This will bring together our services for children and young people in a fantastic environment, purpose-built for their needs, a first for Leeds. From the clinical care to spaces for entertainment and play, it will be designed with patients and families in mind. Wards in the Leeds Children's Hospital will be family-friendly, with views of the outside. Single wards will offer privacy and space for parents to stay. Leaving the hospitals, we see another view of the pharmacy and Jubilee Wing link. Moving outside, we turn to see the new car park on the left. This will provide 650 spaces with direct access to our hospital's main entrance. The area outside the hospitals will be landscaped as part of a remodelling of the LGI site to support a new innovation district for Leeds. Our development will release land and buildings that in the longer term could be used for regeneration, while preserving some of our wonderful heritage like the Grade 1 listed Gilbert Scott building on Great George Street. The Innovation District will be a vibrant area, a world-class hub for research, education, development, health technologies, new business and innovation. Together with the universities in Leeds, Leeds City Council and the Leeds City Region Enterprise Partnership, the Trust will ensure the district becomes a key element in the city's development, attracting skills, jobs and economic opportunities to benefit not just Leeds but a far wider area. We can now see how the two new hospitals will sit in the heart of the Innovation District and the regeneration of the surrounding area. These hospitals will be a force for change in delivering modern, sustainable patient care for the future.
Exciting, yes. But you can see from the moment our patients and families walk through the door, they're going to notice an immediate difference, certainly from what they've got now. From the digital buddies that will help them find their way around to family-friendly surroundings, and brand new wards that'll be a space just for them. And more than this, it'll be a wonderful clinical facility which will bring our Leeds Children's Hospital's teams together in a clearly identifiable home in surroundings that support their commitment to exceptional care. It'll be digital by design, as you heard. It'll be a hospital for the future. And it'll enable our staff to deliver patient care driven by the latest technologies and treatments, innovation and research. So we're going to bring it all together to be world leading. It's a landmark project that'll put us firmly on the map as the cornerstone of the Leeds Innovation District. And that's the area that you saw on the video around the hospital that will be a hub for new business, medical technologies and innovation, and obviously attracting inward investment into Leeds. And we've been working on this. We haven't just, invented this idea with our partners, the two Leeds University, Leeds Beckett University, the local authority and private sector have been round the table for 3 years. So it's been quite a lengthy time in gestation, but we're nearly there. It's an exceptional project that's already received a number of significant milestones. Very soon, Leeds City Council will report on whether our outline planning application for development has been successful. This is actually due in October, and we've come a long way there. The whole planning committee came out and spent half a day with us, so we're over an awful lot of hurdles there. And then, of course, the real excitement begins. We've got some way to go to secure our national NHS permissions, because of course we've got regulators to pacify and finalise the funding we need to make our new hospitals that reality. But I'm personally very confident with our friends and supporters and you, everybody in this room and beyond, will get there. But we need a voice in Leeds to say this is a must. It's not an option. It's not an option for Leeds. It's not an option for the region. This is way, way overdue. And we're nearly there. So the more we talk about it, the more we impress people that we can do it, and we have the team to do it, I've shown you the team that we've got, then we can deliver for Leeds. So, moving on, yet more. Section 3, as I promised you, is achieving our potential to become outstanding. So we've heard about the future of children's healthcare, and I'd like to similarly upbeat and aspirational for all our patients. And there are many reasons to believe that we can achieve the potential that everybody thinks we can, to become that outstanding hospital. As I said earlier, a hospital in the top echelons in the UK and beyond. And I'm talking about beyond, not just the UK, I'm going well beyond. A hospital that will set the standard for the NHS. We've created a very strong story of success over the last 5 years. And I've called that, the team have said, that was book 1. And now it's time to start book 2. It's already official that we are good by CQC and getting better, because CQC have rated us that. We have overcome challenges in absolutely fundamental areas that have made dramatic improvements right across LTHT. And I'm also including that in the culture of LTHT. So I'd like to just mention a few things of the things that have enabled us to make such good progress in book 1, which has really been about the last 5 years. This starts with being a good employer, which means that we look after our people and support them to achieve their best, and that they can then be truly professional, and that they can then provide the best possible care for our patients. We have been true to the values we developed together as colleagues and with our stakeholders. And we've worked in the Leeds way, coming back to that again, to develop a patient-centred approach, to collaborate with partners, to empower staff, to be accountable to our stakeholders, and to be fair in everything we do. Those are our values. And our values continue to serve us extremely well. They've defined our behaviours and expectations through which we have started to build some very important parts of our future. And it's thanks to our engaged workforce that we believe we are becoming an organisation well equipped to overcome the challenges that the NHS is facing. And believe me, they are multitudinal. We've fortunately developed a healthy financial position, and that was not the case 5 years ago. But more about that later when Simon gives his report. But it helps us become a sustainable hospital. An important part of that has been our work in partnership with the NHS leadership nationally to create the Leeds Improvement Method. And it's a trust-wide management approach that emphasises quality and efficiency by eliminating waste. We're working with Seattle and the Virginia Mason Institute on that one for the last 5 years. We have now embodied this into a wide range of areas, and it will well on the way to becoming our default management system. We're also working hard to ensure that we streamline our physical estate, the land and buildings that we use, as well as our facilities, the essential infrastructure and services that allow us to operate so that we are a sustainable hospital and environmentally conscious. And we do take a very serious approach to the impact that we do have on our environment. And I know estates and facilities directors sitting with us, and I'm sure afterwards they'd be delighted to tell you all the amazing things that come under that banner. And that same approach is evident in the way we operate as a local and regional partner and as part of the community. We are working really hard to integrate our healthcare services with those of our partners in the city. And I saw just a moment ago, I'm sure I saw, there you are, spot you. Do you want to stand up? Because, yeah, come on, you've never been shy, ever. Now then, this is one of our Leeds partners. Do you want to say who you are? Because my voice...
Yeah, I'm Chief Executive of Community Healthcare Trust.
There you are.
Wouldn't this do it?
Of course not. And you wouldn't dare. No, absolutely not. But it's great, and there are other partners in the room. And it's really important to say that, you know, nobody has success on their own. Nobody. And it has to be that different approach that we've taken at Leeds to forming our success. And of course, hopefully, the win-win for our partners as well. You're going to hate me for that, aren't you? Yeah. We are an anchor institution as well, investing in training and development for local people as a key part of our workforce. We're working collaboratively with strategic partners in Leeds and beyond to ensure that our city and region get the recognition and investment we need to provide the people of Leeds and the wider region with that very best service. And I'd like to illustrate our progress and our ambitions by showing you again another short video containing just a few examples of some of the changes that we're making, and the people leading this work will tell you in their own words what they have achieved and where they believe it is taking healthcare in the next 5 years.
Leeds Teaching Hospitals NHS Trust has made some really significant changes during recent years, resulting in huge improvements for staff and patients. Our first step was a conversation with our staff to define our shared vision and values, and together we created a way of working that we called the Leeds Way. Holding the vision and values at the centre of everything we do has enabled us to drive improvements, helping us transform the care we provide. We've gained national recognition for our achievements, including being rated as good by the national inspection body, the Care Quality Commission. Our mantra is continuous improvement, and we are always looking to improve patient experience, patient safety, efficiency and sustainability. We've worked really hard to ensure our staff have the skills to improve systems and processes. This has really engaged our teams, who know how important it is to understand value and waste from a patient perspective. As a result, the Leeds Improvement Method is going from strength to strength across the organisation. Now we are ready to build on these foundations, ready to make the move from good to outstanding. Let's look at just a few ways in which our clinical teams are aiming to do this.
Here in Leeds, our teledermatology service has transformed the way we are diagnosing and treating skin cancer. From the comfort of a GP surgery, images are sent to be triaged by a consultant dermatologist, saving the patient a potential unnecessary hospital visit. To date, we've been able to save over 2,500 outpatient appointments. So what does the future hold? We hope in the near future to be able to diagnose all skin cancers when patients are still based on their GP surgery and triage them directly for a surgical procedure, making sure they see the right person, first time, every time.
I I think LTHT is going to be a pioneer in embedding artificial intelligence within breast imaging. We are working with UK-based companies that have developed algorithms that can help in the diagnostic pathway, where they can help us interpret mammograms, and this will have a huge impact not only within the quality of the service we provide. It's important that we create efficiency within the workforce, but at the same time drive standards and quality, and I think LTHT will be leading the way with regards to that.
In the last few years, we've now moved to using digital pathology in clinical practice. It's a technology that allows us to look at cancer and diagnose cancer using a digital screen instead of a microscope. And to date, Leeds is one of the biggest hospitals in the world that uses this technology in their laboratory. So this is going to be very exciting. 5 to 10 years, this is a new technology that's going to revolutionise how we do cancer, and Leeds is at the centre of that revolution. We've obtained funding to expand our project across all of the hospitals in West Yorkshire, and we'll be introducing the use of artificial intelligence to help us diagnose cancer. So there's a lot of work to do and a lot of things that we can achieve.
Our research here at LTHT and the University of Leeds is looking at ways of stimulating the immune system to improve the response to these immunotherapies. One way that we're doing that is by using live viruses.
So we're really excited to be able to report that we've now completed 2 unique clinical studies using this approach in our brain tumor patients here in Leeds. Based on those results, we've recently completed a second study where we've added the virus treatment to our standard treatment for these patients with poor prognosis brain tumours. So they have radiotherapy and chemotherapy and virus treatment. We're very optimistic that those results will show that this is a safe treatment, and we'll then be able to go forward to see how we should best use this combination to really see if we can improve the outlook for this terribly poor prognosis disease.
Developments in genetics over the past decade have meant that it's now possible to read off an individual's whole genome in an NHS laboratory, and whole genome sequencing is now something that we can perform. And the central sequencing laboratory for this region, for this genomic laboratory hub, was awarded to LTHT, and this means that we can now transfer data digitally and transfer samples between the laboratories across the entire patch, from as far away as Whitehaven over on the Irish Sea coast down as far as Chesterfield. Those samples and data can be transferred here to Leeds. And what this means is that we now have a fantastic partnership which should be able to leverage the data on all these 10.5 million people across this region, and it's a fantastic example of collaborative working between NHS facilities in this area.
The people whose amazing work informs these case studies exemplify everything that is happening across our hospitals now. This is a really exciting time for us all as we seek to maximise the potential we have to realise our vision to be the best for integrated and specialist care, and to become one of the absolutely top performing hospitals in the country. The changes we want to see during the next 5 years will not be simply more of the same. We believe they will take us to another level based on our academic and clinical partnership with the University of Leeds. We're already one of the UK's top hospitals for research and innovation. Our financial sustainability gives us confidence that our ambitious bid to redevelop our city centre site, building 2 new hospitals, including a dedicated children's hospital, will ultimately bring incredible new clinical facilities that will transform the care that we can provide for patients. We are an excellent employer and a key partner in the local economy, providing apprenticeships, training and education through our Health and Care Academy, aiming to help create a uniquely qualified and multi-skilled single workforce that can meet the needs of the city's future health and care sector. Our patients are at the heart of everything we do, and in addition to providing outstanding treatment, our strategy is to work towards improving population health by prevention and early diagnosis. We intend that the people of Leeds and the wider region will be proud to be served by our great hospitals, and that our staff will be proud of the care they provide for you.
Okay, so I hope that's just given you an idea of the direction we are taking and to the extent of our ambition, which is the ambition of Book 2. It's extensive. It's exciting. Yes, it's a big ambition and it's extremely impressive stuff. But we've just shown you a sample, a very small sample in a small area of where we've got members of staff doing amazing things. But you could spread that across all the 6 sites. So we should all be proud to work here, looking at members of staff particularly. And equally, we hope for patients that are in the audience, you can see this is going to be the place where you're going to get absolutely the best care and service that there is. So, we know it's important to acknowledge areas where we still have some way to go, especially in some areas of performance against our national standards and those commitments that we make. And Julian will be talking a bit more in detail about these areas, such as emergency care, longer waits for patients, and of course those are the problems we are seeing nationally, not just locally by any. In fact, we've had a finance performance meeting this morning where we've had lots of other trusts, not just local, far wider than that, performance, and it's not a great story. So we are challenged. As a service, NHS service, we are challenged nationally. But we are very determined here at Leeds that we will overcome. We've had 5 years of overcoming and there's nothing going to stop us now. So, having said that, any business, knowing your weakness can also be a strength. And it's the hallmark of a mature and confident organisation. We're an organisation that has very strong governance, it has very strong leadership and management processes, and we've worked extremely hard to create, in the last 5 years, the foundation upon which we can now build. The standing that Leeds Teaching Hospitals Trust has among senior figures in the NHS and in government is well established and rising, and it helps to influence the decision makers. You might say, why is this important? Because of what it enables us to do to help our frontline staff continue the fantastic and inspiring work they do. I'm sure by now you are quite clear about my central message, at least I hope so. We are no longer simply pulling ourselves up as we have been. We are getting ahead. We are making that move from good to outstanding. And I want to say this, thank you. And I'd like to conclude, first of all, by thanking you for coming along today and for listening to what I hope you agree is a genuinely exciting time for our staff and patients and a genuinely exciting future. I want you to go away inspired. We need our staff to be inspired because we want to attract the best possible talent and we want to be the best possible place to work. We need our patients to be inspired, to help us and support us on the journey because we want to deliver outstanding medical care. We need our partners to be inspired, to work with us to enable our ambition. And we, and this is all the team that are in this room, all believe in our successful future. We can do this. So I hope what you've seen and heard from me today has inspired you to be a part of that journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. Hello everyone. Hello, my name is Julian. I'm Julian Hartley. I'm Chief Executive here at Leeds Teaching Hospitals. Can you hear me at the back? Excellent, good. Just a word first of all about how we introduce ourselves. I stand in this very spot every Monday morning to welcome our new starters We have anywhere between 40 and 120 new colleagues join us every Monday morning. And I always start with this slide because here in Leeds Teaching Hospitals, we're proud to continue to reinforce the Hello, My Name is campaign, which of course was started by our very own Dr. Kate Granger. Sadly, Kate died 3 years ago from a life-limiting cancer, but we continue to hold the torch for the Hello, My Name is campaign, which of course many of you are wearing the badges and everyone knows stands for compassionate care, going the extra mile for our patients, paying attention to the small things and really making a difference. And it's great to be able to see the fruits of Kate's work continue, that we keep going here in Leeds Teaching Hospitals and indeed across the whole of the NHS through awards, through events, but most of all just through our daily work and the way we work with our patients. So I'd like to follow on from Linda's challenge really, which is about the next chapter or the next book. And there's a quote here: the only time you should ever look back is to see how far you've come. Well, we have come a long way since 2013, and I can remember my very first annual general meeting in the Moynihan Lecture Theatre in Thackeray Medical Museum, this time 6 years ago. And at that time, we were struggling as a trust, and I know looking at the audience today, many of you who are with us today were with us then. And I had the pleasure of meeting a number of you who have been faithful attenders of our AGM and great supporters of this organisation through that period. And many of you will recall our struggles with our CQC ratings, our quality of care, our financial position, and the way our staff felt about Leeds Teaching Hospitals. And of course, fast forward 6 years, we're now rated good by the CQC, outstanding in a number of areas, looking to build 2 new hospitals in a much better financially and a top performer on the NHS staff survey. So that's great, isn't it? However, as Linda said, we still face some big challenges in common with the rest of the NHS. Urgent care. On Monday, we had our busiest Monday for A&E attendances on record. Steve Bush, our clinical director for urgent care, sat in the audience and will know we had 771 patients through our emergency departments on Monday. That is a record for Leeds Teaching Hospitals, and it underlines the challenges the NHS is facing in terms of the demands that are being placed on it. However, we are working to address those challenges, and I'll say a bit more about that later on. We're working to improve the discharge process, waiting times and flow pressures, and we do that not alone but with our partners. And Thea introduced herself from Leeds Community Health, one of our partners across the city, along with the City Council, Leeds and York Partnership Trust, our magnificent voluntary sector, primary care, and everything that goes together to make this a great city. But we do have significant challenges to overcome. So, let me share with you, as we look back, some of the great things that have happened across the course of last year. Now, I feel really proud and humble to work in what I'd still regard as the finest institution in this country, the National Health Service. And the National Health Services in 2018 celebrated its 70th anniversary. What a milestone that was. And we were delighted that we were chosen by the BBC to be the anchor for BBC Breakfast. And there is a picture of the BBC Breakfast team with our own Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Yvette Ode, who you saw in the film, on the red sofa, being interviewed. And that was a great moment for us. And I have to say, just a big thank you to Yvette, because for 3 months of the first part of this year, actually, but of last year in terms of the financial year, from January to April of this year, she stood in for me while I was developing the NHS People Plan and led the organisation incredibly ably through that period. So really, Yvette, you should be up here with me. But you've already done the video, so well done. And also other photographs include some great pictures of Davina McCall, who many of you will have watched A&E Live, which was a great television programme giving an insight into the fantastic work that our ED team undertake, and Steve is there pictured alongside them. And of course we celebrated also our 5th anniversary of our major trauma centre, and there's a team there on the helipad with a fantastic backdrop of Leeds, and what a view it is up from the helipad, and what an important function the major trauma team provide. And I never tire of saying that we are in the top 2 nationally for our outcomes for major trauma patients, since centralising major trauma here in Leeds for the whole of the region. We also celebrated 50 years of kidney transplants in Leeds, which was terrific. So many anniversaries and many things to be proud of. So if I turn to what draws this together for us, this is our pyramid. And our pyramid is a way of capturing some of what you've already heard from Linda. You can see right at the top of the pyramid is our patient. And we mean it when we say, as part of the Leeds Way, we are patient-centred. You've heard about our vision to be the best for specialist and integrated care. And I'm going to take you through each of our 5 goals as part of my account to you of how we are performing against those. And the Leeds Way really does underpin everything we do. Created by all 18,000 staff back in 2014, it is embedded, it runs through this trust like the message through a stick of Blackpool Rock. It's everything that we do, it's everything that we hold dear, it's everything we work hard on every day, and underpinned by the Leeds Improvement Method, of which I will say more. So let's have a look at each of those 5 goals, starting with patient safety, quality and experience. So our key achievements in 2018-19 included an overall rating of good from the Care Quality Commission, but building on our inspection from 2016, we received 3 outstanding ratings in critical care, in Leeds Dental Hospital, and for our use of resources. So that was very encouraging in terms of really strengthening the good, but seeing some of those outstanding ratings coming through. The Care Quality Commission also do every year a maternity survey. During the last year's survey, we showed significant improvement in our scores in 8 areas compared to the previous year, and we're providing better patient experiences in antenatal care and care during labour than most other trusts in the country for our women. Getting it right first time, we're showing that we benchmark well against many other trusts, and getting it right first time is a very important part of a national NHS improvement to individual clinical services, where clinical experts benchmark performance across all hospitals in the NHS and bring their findings to us, where we sit down as an executive team with all of our consultants, nurses, allied health professionals, the wider team, our management colleagues, and talk about where we are and how we can improve further. Our family and friends test showed that 93% of patients would recommend us, and we've established a number of collaboratives for pressure ulcers, falls and Parkinson's, and done some great work with our Think Drink campaign, which is all about making sure that we provide adequate hydration to our patients. And during 2018, we launched our patient experience strategy to make sure that we really do listen, respond and act on feedback and engagement with patients, families and carers. Our second goal is about being the best place to work. And a number of our colleagues are here who work with us, and a number of supporters, but underpinning this goal is the fundamental belief that only by supporting, engaging, enthusing and motivating all of our 18,000 staff will we deliver great care for our patients. The evidence is really clear about this. The more that organisations engage and motivate and make the connections between every single member of staff's work and the overall mission of the organisation, the better the quality of care, performance and financial sustainability. And in the National Staff Survey in 2018, we performed better than the national average for all acute trusts. In particular, staff demonstrated high satisfaction with our safety culture, management of violence and aggression, and approach to equality and diversity and inclusion, with all three areas receiving scores that are close to the best for acute trusts. The results show that satisfaction and engagement have improved year on year, and we were really pleased to be named as the top trust by the Listening into Action scatter map for staff engagement based on the results of the survey, the best trust nationally based on their analysis. Long Service Awards, we think it's very important that we recognise and celebrate the achievements of our staff who've given outstanding and lengthy service to the Trust. So we run Long Service Awards several times a year, and we recognise colleagues who have achieved 20, 30 and 40 years service. Fantastic achievements. We have so many magnificent examples of colleagues who've dedicated their lives to this organisation and achieved wonderful things. And it's important, and Linda and I recognise that achievement and make sure that that is noted and made, given an important high profile. Now, every year we run, and our communications team do a fantastic job organising our Time to Shine Awards, and we receive great support from sponsors and colleagues. And our Time to Shine Awards this year was the biggest yet, 520 guests, 302 nominations, 164 unsung hero nominations, and 117 nominations by patients and families. We held our first Junior Doctor Week, where we made sure that we celebrated the important work of our junior doctors, a group of colleagues who, given some of the particular challenges for junior doctors in the implementation of the junior doctor contract a couple of years ago, we really do need to make sure we pay attention to. And junior doctors don't always feel part of the organisation in the same way as colleagues that work here continuously, because they move around a lot. They move through different hospitals across the region. But we work very hard to make sure that they feel part of the family here. And we had our Junior Doctor Awards, which were a great success, recognising their achievement. So we are well on our way to achieving our goal of being the best place to work, as measured by the staff survey, friends and family, and the regular feedback we get from our staff. We also aim to be a centre of excellence for specialist services, research, education and innovation. And you've already seen in the video that Linda played some of the astounding work that's going on in relation to things like teledermatology, artificial intelligence in radiology, and Darren Trainer's amazing work in digital pathology. We are aiming to be a world leader in clinical research and innovation, and we work really closely with our academic partners to achieve this. We're a key partner in the Leeds Academic Health Partnership that brings all of the NHS organisations across Leeds together with our higher educational institutes, and we have one of the largest medical education programmes in England, encompassing more than 1,300 students from the University of Leeds and 950 trainee doctors. And last year, the University of Leeds School of Medicine achieved the highest levels of satisfaction in the student survey of the Russell Group of Universities, which is great in terms of what it means to train to be a doctor here in Leeds. And I had the privilege of speaking to our third year medical students a couple of weeks ago, and it was great to see such enthusiasm, confidence, and a sense of we can be very confident in the pipeline of great doctors coming through for this city. Significant developments in research and innovation. In October of 2018, we launched the Research Academy, and later in the year we began work on a new National Institute for Health Research clinical research facility here at St James's. We also launched the Yorkshire Lung Study, the first of its kind in the country, in partnership with Yorkshire Cancer Research and the Universities of Leeds and York. And we're among the top 3 hospital trusts in England for delivering research projects recognised by the NIHR involving more than 20,000 patients in more than 450 high quality research studies last year. And this really matters because the other thing about what we have learned is that those hospitals that are research active, that really do drive research across the whole of the organisation, achieve better outcomes for patients. So this matters hugely for all of us in terms of participating in research activity. We launched the Children's Clinical Research Facility in June 2018, and in the same month we welcomed our first cohort of apprentice nurses, and we were the first in the country to offer this opportunity to new staff, as well as providing development for many of our own. So, the next goal is about providing seamless, integrated care. And when we talk about integrated care, in this organisation, we cannot deliver healthcare on our own. We rely and are bound by a network of relationships we have across health and social care as a city. And we work closely with our partners across the City of Leeds. And during last year, we had a Care Quality Commission review of the Leeds health and social care system, which did identify really strong and collaborative leadership between organisations with a collective vision, but recognising there's still much more to do. And we've taken a good hard look at the challenges we face, including particularly those around discharge, particularly here at St James. And as a result, we've tried to make sure that we've simplified our pathways for patients, to make sure that patients are able to move from hospital to either home or reablement or into community settings much more seamlessly, supported, looked after, and given the confidence to recover more quickly. Because no one, frankly, as good as we are, wants to spend longer in hospital than they need to. So we work with Leeds Community Healthcare, with Leeds and York Partnership Trust, with Leeds City Council, with the voluntary sector to achieve that. And we have streamlined the discharge process, and we can see some early signs of progress. We did a big review of how we were doing in relation to that, and where you can tell this stuff is really working and really matters. And I know that this topic in particular, I think has been a really good achievement and an example of the collaborative work we're doing together. This is Barry in the photograph. And following a stroke, Barry was in hospital for 7 months, and the team felt this just was not good enough. Who wants to stay in hospital for that length of time? So our ambition was to ensure that patients get the therapy they need, where they want it, when they need it. We worked with Leeds Community Healthcare NHS Trust, and together the team developed a shared culture and vision, a robust governance structure, changed the criteria for stroke patients, used existing resources and investment to deliver a therapy outlier team, look at the staff flexibility and rotations, increase the input from therapists, and overall the outcome was to reduce the length of stay significantly, including shared learning, joint training, and much improved patient feedback. And I would say, Thea, thank you for coming. Your input, leadership and support to that programme was first class. So, and I think a testimony to the great joint work we have with our partners in Leeds Community Healthcare. But of course, collaboration goes across more than the City of Leeds. We are part of the West Yorkshire Association of Acute Trusts, which is an organisation that works together across the 6 hospitals in West Yorkshire. We're also part of the West Yorkshire and Harrogate Healthcare Partnership, which brings all NHS and local authority organisations together across West Yorkshire and Harrogate. And we're part of the Leeds Academic Healthcare Partnership, which is a groundbreaking initiative to bringing together training and development of all health and care professionals across the city to create one Leeds workforce under the umbrella of the Leeds Health and Care Academy. And I'm going to show you a video about the Academy shortly, but just to return to the West Yorkshire Association of Acute Trusts, back in the early 2000s and mid 2000s, many of you will remember the development of the Foundation Trust movement and the development of the internal market and competition between healthcare organisations. And that was motivated by a policy of wanting to drive out efficiency and so on, and delivered did deliver a number of benefits and improvements. But I think we are now in a place where we think that collaboration is much needed and is very, very important in terms of the delivery of high quality healthcare. So the West Yorkshire Association of Acute Trusts is first and foremost about the collaboration between 6 hospitals across our region. And we've worked hard on practical things that matter to patients. So across a number of things we've done together, we've consolidated vascular services to provide high quality care for patients in vascular hubs with a network across West Yorkshire. We've saved over £1 million by having consistent healthcare products across hospitals in West Yorkshire. We've started to roll out the Scan for Safety programme, which started here in Leeds, which barcodes locations, consumables, so we can track and trace every item that we use with patients, which is hugely important for safety and quality. And we're working on consolidating pathology to develop a new pathology build here at St James and centralise much of the work that goes on in a range of varied and disparate sites across West Yorkshire. In the city of Leeds, we are very, very proud to have strong relationships with our partners, and we've challenged ourselves to go further by thinking about the 57,000 people that work in health and care across this city, and challenge ourselves to work out how we can best create a sense of shared purpose, training, education, development of all of those staff. Because frankly, the more that our staff work with colleagues in community services, social care, university colleagues, the more we'll understand one another's business, the better we'll be able to deliver for our citizens and patients. So here's a taste of what the Leeds Health and Care Academy is all about.
God's own country, a feast of green land. At the heart of it all, a great city drives forward. From old, deep roots, the metropolis endures and thrives in size and stature. Now leading the field, first out of the gate. Digital, health tech, research, innovate. A grand new vision, a bold ambition. Connecting academia with healthcare, a fusion of minds to provide world-class training. 57,000 brains working together. A new culture of thinking and learning across health and care. United as one workforce. A huge range of great opportunities. New jobs and skills for all our communities. Learning, debate, ideas and visions cross-pollinate. Breaking down boundaries, building seamless networks across our services. Helping and caring, growing and sharing. Narrowing social divides in health and well-being. Caring for minds and bodies as one in the same. Working in our communities with carers and those in need. Helping our citizens to nurture and cherish their health. To teach, train, equip and reassure. For prevention is always much better than cure. Engaging and inspiring new talent. Drawing in smart thinkers. Raising aspirations for future generations. Rousing the spirit. Sowing the seeds. A bright new horizon for the people of Leeds.
I always get a little shiver when I watch that. It's great. And the first time I played this video was actually in Manchester. So when it starts with God's own country, I got quite a reaction. So you can see the partners, the collection of partners involved in the academic health partnership there, and indeed the academy, and it really does symbolise the extent of the shared leadership across this city and how we work hand in glove with all of those organisations. I want to move on just to say something about financial sustainability, and Simon will give far more detail on this, but just to say that last year was our best year on record. Largest surplus in the Trust's history, 53 million surplus, enabling us to invest over 44 million in our capital programme for the benefit of patients and staff. This really matters in terms of being able to enable our staff to have the tools they need to do the job, and also to renew and re-equip our ageing estate. On which subject, you've already heard from Linda about our ambitious plans for hospitals of the future, and I would only add that these hospitals, if we can achieve this vision, they will deliver significant regional benefits. At the LGI, over 50% of adult and 80% of children's services are specialist services serving West Yorkshire and further afield. So this isn't just about Leeds, this is about the whole of the region. We'll remove duplication through the centralisation of maternity and neonatal services. It will support what we call the left shift. That's having more care and treatment done in primary care and community settings by reducing 20% of outpatient attendances through increased care closer to home and digital health. And of course, it will help us deliver long-term financial sustainability and, as Linda has said, put Leeds on the map in comparison with the likes of Great Ormond Street, Alder Hey, Manchester Children's Hospital, all of whom have had significant investment in their children's services. The Leeds improvement method is how, day in, day out, we improve. And you'll remind yourselves that that was at the bottom of the pyramid. The Leeds improvement method is how we work. It's not based on top-down performance management. It's based on ground-up improvement. It's about frontline teams coming together to look at patients' journeys and say, how can we add more value to our patients, take out what doesn't add value, reduce waste, inefficiency, duplication, and make sure that we deliver real improvements for our patients. So far, we've trained over 10,000 of our staff in the method. We've saved nearly 3 million as a result of the waste reduction programme. We've had a whole range of rapid process improvement weeks, and we've got 206 colleagues on their Lean 4 Leaders journey with 90 certified. And it is a joy to see our teams reporting out every Friday lunchtime on the improvement work that they've put in place. And it really does bring home to you that only those people doing the work can improve the work. We put our faith in our frontline teams because their ideas are better than ours. They know what will work and what won't work with our patients. And we're giving them the training, the support and the encouragement to make those changes. And we're seeing huge improvements as a result. And we're building a digital hospital. We're aiming to make sure that the future is one where we maximise the impact of digital technology, but never losing sight of the personal touch. A whole range of developments and innovations across digital, not only in the Trust, but across the whole of the city with the Leeds Care Record and the Yorkshire and Humber Care Record. So, finally, I just wanted to put on record my thanks to the magnificent work of our teams. Our teams work tirelessly, day in, day out. There is not a moment goes by where there isn't someone in this organisation delivering hugely important care to our patients and teams supporting that care. Out of hours, we've got digital teams keeping the information systems going, estates and facilities teams doing all of the hard work behind the scenes. We've got healthcare support staff being a key part of the ward teams. It's just astonishing, and it is humbling, frankly, when I go across our organisation and see the magnificent work that all 18,000 staff do, and increasingly the way that connects with our work across the whole of the city. Through the Health and Care Academy, working with priority neighbourhoods in this city, encouraging the future pipeline of people to come into the NHS, inspiring and encouraging students in our schools and our staff going out there as healthcare ambassadors. It's through teamwork that we achieve this. It's through the Leeds way we achieve this. So thank you for listening. And it's now my pleasure to hand over to Simon Worthington, our Finance Director, who will take you through the finance report. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks, Julian. Hello, my name is Simon Worthington, and as I think I had last year, I have got a cold. So if I break down coughing, I do apologise. So going to tell you a little bit about how we've worked on our financial sustainability over the last year and the prospects for the future. And we have a video as well, so I'm going to put that on now. I'm fairly sure we have a video. The Trust journey to financial sustainability has taken a huge step forward, and for the second year running, we've delivered a record income and expenditure surplus. This has allowed us to invest over 44 million in our capital programme for the benefit of patients and staff. Throughout the year, the finance team have worked closely with CSUs on a number of waste reduction initiatives. A key component underpinning the programme is the Leeds improvement method, which has significantly contributed to the surplus that we have achieved. Work with our partners Leeds CCG and NHS England through the aligned intensive contract, and work with our charity partner Leeds Cares has also been really significant in the success. In the 2018-19 financial year, we made savings of 67 million, ensuring that we achieved our NHS high control total. This meant that we achieved a surplus of 52.9 million while securing provider sustainability funding, a fantastic achievement. It means we can invest significantly in the capital programme going into this financial year.
Leeds Teaching Hospitals is privileged to be one of 5 trusts in the UK working with NHS Improvement and the Virginia Mason Institute in Seattle, USA. We are learning and embedding an improvement system to improve the quality and safety, efficiency and flow of our services for our patients. And we call this here the Leeds Improvement Method. It requires us to really understand what adds value from the perspective of our patients and ensure that the patient voice is central in all our work. Anything that does not add value to our patients is described as a waste in our processes. Therefore, this value-based approach, taken here at Leeds, underpinned by the capability created by the Leeds Improvement Method, provides us with an innovative opportunity for reframing the context of traditional cost improvement. We have a long-term trust goal to become financially sustainable and an organisational objective that requires us to effectively manage resources across the organisation to support investment in our future. This provides a real sense of urgency for us to find and remove the waste in our systems that doesn't use our resources responsibly. We call this our waste reduction programme.
The identification and removal of waste in our systems at Leeds Teaching Hospitals Trust not only adds value and improves the quality of service to our patients, but also improves performance. To help our clinical units across the hospitals to meet their waste reduction targets, we have been offering advice, helpful templates, tools and techniques, and robustly managing a waste reduction programme. We've also been helping them identify savings through benchmarking, finding examples of best practice that can be shared with others, and providing them with advice and guidance on how best to generate ideas to reduce waste.
I'm a consultant orthopaedic surgeon in the foot and ankle unit at Chapel Allerton Hospital, and we have been working with our colleagues in finance to improve the quality of treatment and referral for our patients. We've engaged with GPs, community podiatrists and physiotherapists in redesigning the pathways through which our patients receive their care. Through a new financial contract, we are given greater freedom to work across primary and secondary healthcare, placing overall patient care at the heart of the process.
Financial management is an integral part of the CSU team. We operate a business partnering model. My role is not only to report a financial position, but to help the CSU understand the financial impact of the decisions they make. It is an important part of our roles to really understand the service and the challenges they face. We work closely with operational and clinical colleagues to develop services, improve efficiency and eliminate waste, which we believe is essential to improving patient experience.
We are delighted that our new purpose-built cardiac hybrid suite behind me here is up and running and already providing life-saving care for children and young people with congenital heart disease. The new facility enables us to perform complex specialist interventions on our young patients and means that cardiac surgeons like myself can work together with our cardiologists during the same procedure, combining our skills and improving patient outcomes and reducing treatment times. It is a testament to the Trust's financial performance and to the support of our charities, the Children's Heart Surgery Fund and Leeds Care.
Last year, I stood beside a construction site as we were building the highly specialised children's neurosurgery operating suite with an intraoperative 3T MRI scanner now seen behind me. Here we are just 12 months on, and it's all installed, operational, and enabling us to improve our treatment for children with brain and spinal tumours. This fantastic new development allows us to pause surgery and transfer the patient safely into the scanner in the middle of an operation to assess how much of the tumour has been removed. It allows us to achieve better outcomes with less risk of harm and also reduces the risk of the child needing a second operation. This shows how real investments can make such a difference for our patients.
We need to ensure that we can continue our capital spending throughout the 2019-20 financial year and help finance things like our exciting Hospitals for the Future plan, which will provide modern individual healthcare based on the most advanced treatments, techniques, innovation and research. Meeting our surplus targets supports our aim of achieving financial sustainability by becoming the most efficient teaching hospital in England. 2018-19 was a fantastic year. Our financial results are among the best in the country, and we have seen numerous achievements along the way, culminating in the National Healthcare Financial Management Association's annual conference, with Leeds Teaching Hospital being awarded the Finance Team of the Year, and David Berridge, our Medical Director for Operations, awarded the Clinician of the Year. I would like to say a huge thank you to our staff across the whole organisation for their contributions to deliver the savings that have allowed us to reinvest in improving our services. There is still a lot more to do in both the current financial year and going forward to maintain our major investment plans, but putting the organisation in its current financial sustainable position is a great step forward.
Okay, so thanks for everybody who helped put that together. Really great video. What I hope came across there is that the idea of making a surplus. Why would we want to do that? We're a health trust. Surely we should be spending all our money on patient care. But the way that accountancy works, if you want to invest in capital, you need to make a revenue surplus. That's how you get the cash to do that. So that revenue surplus equals capital expenditure in future. And as I go through some of the numbers, you'll see how our capital expenditure is improving. And the other thing I hope that came across was, firstly, the importance of clinical leadership and engagement in our financial success, just as in our patient care. The way that the support teams contribute to that through the Leeds Improvement Method, and the really great collaboration we have across the health system with our partners and with Leeds Cares. So being the finance director, on this occasion I've allowed myself to have some numbers on my slides. I'll try and get my millions and billions right this year. But just to remind, it's been mentioned before, we are a very large healthcare organisation, one of the largest in the country, with a turnover of 1.3 billion. We invested £44 million in capital in the last financial year, and we reported a surplus of 53 million and had 30 million pounds in the bank at the end of the year, which again was a record surplus and a record amount of cash in the bank. That cash is in the bank temporarily, as you will see, as we're planning to spend it on capital in the year that we're now in. So what that meant overall was that we achieved all our financial targets, including an external financing limit and our capital resource limit. We got an unqualified audit report, and really importantly, we got an unmodified, what is known value for money audit report, which is the second audit opinion you get on the accounts. But basically that's the auditor saying that our arrangements for financial management in the trust were really sound. So a bit of information about how we did that. Firstly, again, re-emphasise the importance of a surplus means you can spend on capital. We originally planned to have a £29 million surplus. Because of our success on our waste reduction programme, where we saved overall 67 million, and really importantly, our collaboration and work with partners, the CCG, and really importantly, the Leeds Cares charity, we were able to exceed our original plan. And because of the way that the NHS system has been working over the last years, that we received incentive funding because we overachieved that plan. So that is the line that says provider sustainability income. So we received...
Simon, can you stand a bit nearer to it?
I can. Does that make a difference? Do I lean in? All right, well, I'm very sorry. I'm speaking into the microphone. Shall I just shout? I haven't done anything to it.
Click that here.
I'll just hold it. Is that all right?
Hang on 1 second. It's not switched on yet.
Is that any better? Yes. Oh, good. Shall I start again? Okay. So I'm sorry for that. It was outside my control. I don't think I've done anything. Where was I? Oh yes, the provider sustainability income. So this is a system that the centre has operated over the last couple of years to incentivise trusts to achieve a better financial outcome. And we were very successful, and so we received additional income as a result of that. To the extent that at one point there was a arrangement whereby for every £1 that we could overachieve our financial target by, we received a further £2 in sustainability funding. So we took, without commenting on the whether that's a wise policy or not for the centre to adopt, we maximised the benefits we got from that and therefore achieved that £53 million surplus. Yeah, I'll just emphasise again within our sort of underlying position. Therefore, it doesn't take a genius to work out if we have a £62 million of provider sustainability income, but we only achieved a surplus of £53 million. The underlying position was still a small deficit, so there's still work to do. Though we can have a lot of confidence through the fact of again our great partnerships that we have, the Leeds Improvement Method, our fantastic finance team. The aligned incentive contract. These are all things that help us work together with the organisation to make sure that we sustain our financial position going forward. So if we just have a little think about this year, the year that we're currently in, our planned surplus is 12 million. Now I feel a moment of deflation in the room. Last year we had 53 million and this year we're only planning for 12. I just want to explain that is because of changes in how this provider sustainability funding is working. So we're only going to be able to obtain 17 million of that in this financial year. So again, it doesn't take a genius to work out. That means our underlying financial position, however, is improving. To point out, our capital investment for the year that we're now in stands at a planned 68 million. Last year it was 44 million. The year before that it was 23 million. So you can see how we really are reinvesting the surpluses that we're making in that capital spend, and we need to continue to do that to secure our future. But I have a good level of confidence that the great work that we've been doing as a whole team in the organisation, working on financial sustainability, we will again achieve our financial plan and be able to maintain that level of capital expenditure. Okay, so thank you very much.
Okay. I think my booming voice is reaching the back. Yes? Yes, good. Right, we get a slight change. If you look at your agenda, we're going to have a slight change because what you've just heard Simon mention on very few occasions just there in the finance report was the input from Leeds Cares, which, as I explained earlier, is our anchor charity. That is the charity that looks after everybody's donations that they give, all the staff efforts that go on in a year, and the generosity of our patients and families. So we allowed a few minutes for Andrew Cratchley, who is the acting CEO at the moment of Leeds Cares, to come up and just say a little bit about the working partnership that we have. Andrew.
Thank you, Linda.
And the dog.
Yes. If I just check this before we start, is that okay?
It's okay at the moment, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Can I just start by introducing myself in the fashion of everyone else? Hello, my name is Andrew Cratchley. I'm the Interim Managing Director of Leeds Cares. Just so you all know, I've been in and around health for 20 years now, and I also, at this stage, take personal responsibility for Simon's cold as he was helping us out at the UCI event over the weekend, standing in a field in Harrogate when it was raining on Sunday afternoon. So apologies for that, Simon, and to the rest of you. If we just, Leeds Cares is the official charity partner of Leeds Teaching Hospitals, and we now have a memorandum of understanding with the Trust to talk about our partnership and the way in which we'll operate. And I talked to our staff when I arrived about what it is we actually do, and what we boiled it down to is that we support NHS staff that work in LTHT to deliver the best care for patients and their families by raising funds for equipment, services, education and research. Now, just a little bit of history, that in 1767 the General Infirmary was started with charitable donations. So here we are 252 years later, and that's still going. From my perspective, this is really important because I live in Leeds, so having a world-class healthcare facility here is absolutely vital. Both of our daughters were born in Leeds, and we've all been here at various times with ailments and illnesses and been treated exceptionally, so thank you to the staff. Our team are committed to supporting the staff in Leeds, and we really appreciate everything that they do. And what we're trying to do is just find that little bit of extra money that makes their lives easier and makes patients' experience that little bit better. And I want now to just share a short video of some other people explaining about Leeds Cares.
I care about the health of my city.
I care about my patients.
We care about doing our bit.
I care about poorly children in our hospital being read stories.
I care about helping to fund important research.
I care about helping those in need. I care about hospitals being exceptional.
I care because Mommy's Hospital made her better.
So just a little bit more, if I may. If I tell you the sorts of things that we fund equipment and environment, projects in research and innovation, specialist staff. We have a number of staff across the Trust that are funded through Leeds Cares, education and health and well-being. And last year we supported the Trust, or every year we aim to provide £5 million to the Trust for those projects. And in addition to that, some of the things that we funded last year include £1 million for surgical microscopes. We funded the scalp coolers that you can see in the bottom left in the oncology centre. We fund a number of ward refurbishments and equipment that the Trust wouldn't normally get under the NHS, bedside tables, special bedside tables and comfortable reclining chairs for patients and visitors. And we also actively support the Time to Shine Awards through donations and through sponsorship of some of the awards, and a couple of our fundraisers are recognised in those awards every year. And last year, strategically, we supported the Trust with £10 million, and we also want to do that this year. Our main aim is that we work strategically with the Trust to ensure that any donations that are coming in, any fundraising, is used in the best possible way to support staff, patients and their families. So we're really conscious that we're part of the organisation, well, we're separate to the organisation, but we want to be part of it and working with that. So that 10 million also helped mobile patient screening, £1 million in research and investment, funding some specific health research posts. We funded refurbishments to the helipad that you heard about earlier, and a vital service within the Trust, the chaplaincy service. We provided funds to ensure that that has the best possible opportunity to provide support to patients. We also hit a target of our appeal for £2.4 million for an MR simulator, so that's going to transform the way in which patients are treated. And this year we're hoping to fund refurbishment of Ward 52, the top left there, the team of youth workers, an independent living flat at Chapel Allerton that's now out of date and needs refurbishment, and a liver perfusion service that we approved at a recent Trust board meeting to support the sustainability of transplants. So finally, how can you get involved? If you would like to be involved, we've got lots of things to do. Volunteering, as a couple of people have mentioned, we are the fundraising partner of the UCI event. We've got a number of volunteers there. It's a fantastic opportunity to be involved not only with a fantastic world-class sporting event, but also with a charity that is supporting such a fantastic organisation. We do other events, we have a shop, there are lots of volunteering opportunities. You can fundraise. We had 300 riders in the Sportif this weekend, 120 of which were staff from within the Trust. You can leave as a legacy, corporate donations and individual donations. A small donation of £2 will get someone a badge like this that enables them to tell everybody, hello, my name is. And people can see that. So even that small amount can make such a significant difference. Afternoon teas, raffles, or you can jump out of an aeroplane, as long as you agree to wear a parachute. So the other thing you can do is raise awareness of us. So please let people know who we are. If you like that sort of thing, join our Facebook group or tweet us and say hello. So thank you for listening, but close by thanking the staff at Leeds Cares, yourselves for any support that you give us, but most of all I'd like to thank Julian, Linda, Simon and the team within this hospital for giving us first class care every day of every year. So thank you.
Right, well, we've finished from our end in terms of presentations and information about our financial year last year. So it's the question and answer time, and I've just been told I've got to do the official bit yet. Approve the minutes of the last meeting. Okay, approved. Yes, thank you. An adoption of the accounts as we've gone over them with fine-tooth comb, I assure you. Here, I'm getting lots of nods. Happy with that? Yes, done. Fine. That's I nearly said boring stuff, but I better not say that, had I? Right, so moving on, the question and answer. This is over to you. We've got microphones spread around, looking at Jane and everybody, looking for there's two on here. Is this where they are? Yes.
They've not been spread around yet.
Oh,
we'll
right.
spread them around now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we've got a lady in the front, so but while the girls are moving around, yes.
Hello, good afternoon everybody. My name is Mary Naylor, and I was a member of the committee that sat for people with sight loss and hearing loss for over 30 years. Now that was abandoned just a year or so ago. And so the issue I want to bring up today is because this is the only opportunity we're going to have to highlight it. There was a national consultation 5 years ago to ensure that trust hospitals, together with the care services and social care and all the rest of it, would be aware of what people needed in order to ensure that they got the information they wanted in the format in which they wanted. Now, we, as the National Federation of the Blind, the local branch, were asked by this hospital to work with your staff to look at what was required and how to take it forward. We dutifully did that because we've been fighting for that for many, many years. It's called the Accessible Information Standard. And what that means is that anyone who has a communication need or needs information in a format that is not the norm can be given that. Now, the reason I'm highlighting it today is that we worked very hard with the hospital, not only to highlight that, but to work with your staff to look at how they could implement it. So we just assumed that because all of that had taken place, that things were moving on. And it became quite clear that this wasn't happening. The Leeds, what's it called, the Leeds? What's it called? Clayton words. Oh, yeah, Health Watch. Oh yeah, Leeds Health Watch were aware of the issues that were happening, and they undertook, we consulted with them and worked with them. They produced a document to look at how people can access that standard. It was really very disappointing, because what happened was that they got a group of people together who were newly referred blind people, people who had been blind for quite some time, and the statistics were not good at all. Out of the group of people that were asked about, did they know about the standard, had they accessed it, had they been asked when they came to hospitals or to any care organisation how they wanted to receive their information, 67% said that nobody had ever asked them how would they like their format. The rest of the people made it very clear that although they had indicated what they would like, they never actually received it. So what we're asking you today is, because this hospital did receive notification and receive the document that gives all the information that is required, what we're asking you to do is to please look at how you can improve on that. Because quite honestly, for the last 3 years, this has been a legal requirement. This is the bit we don't understand. Because government decided that this was a necessary thing for people with whoever had a communication need or an accessible need. And for the last 3 years, this has been a legal requirement. So we don't understand why you haven't. Everything we've heard today has just been amazing. So what we're asking you to do is to look at that to ensure that people who need that standard can access it fully. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Really appreciate that. And Julian's going to answer. But we do have Health Watch in the room, so if you could give the gentleman there it. And the gentleman at the back in the red pullover would be next. And I saw another hand go up. Oh, and then mid-room. So got that kind of order. Okay.
Thank
yes,
you,
hello.
I'm Richard Taylor. I'm a board member of Health Watch Leeds. I was briefed before I came to the meeting. I'm aware of the 2016 regulations on accessible information standard for hearing and visually impaired people. We have looked at the communication needs within the Leeds district. These are not being fully implemented, as the lady said. We are working together with Christina Kozlowska, Head of Patient Experience at Leeds Teaching Hospitals, and also we are trying to pull and facilitate a citywide group, including social care, the council and other interested bodies, to look and share good practice. We have produced a video to help all areas to understand the health and social care issues and to appreciate the issues and consider the solutions. We do believe, however, that one of the first implementations is to talk to GPs who carry out the first initial referral of the patient to identify that they have hearing and sight imperatives. Okay?
Richard, thank you so much. And Richard, I should have said earlier, thank you for attending our board meetings on such a regular occasion. And I know we've got a real partnership with Health Watch, and I really appreciate the fact that you do come very, very regularly, and it's appreciated. Julian, would you pick that up, please?
Certainly. Mary, thank you very much for your feedback. And I guess what I'd say straight away is, I don't think we pretend we've got this right yet. I think we've still got plenty to do. So I'll take your challenge in the spirit that I know it's meant to urge us and encourage us to improve and get better at this. I know that the great work that Health Watch are doing, and thank you, Richard, for outlining that. I know that our patient experience team are working hard on this, and that the Health Watch Leeds report, which was a very important piece of work, is being actively considered. It's being shared at our patient experience subgroup. We included Health Watch colleagues in that. There was discussion about this report just this week at our equality and diversity strategy. As Richard said, this is a city-wide challenge. We need to work with our partners. So I guess what I would say is, when we meet again this time next year, Linda, when we're doing this again,
hopefully Mary's
and I know,
happier.
Mary, you'll be here, judge us then in terms of the progress we make, because I know that I and my colleagues are taking this agenda extremely seriously. It's something that we know we need to get better at, and thank you for highlighting it.
Thanks, Julian.
Julian, can I just add to that? You mentioned about patients' experience being involved. Why hasn't the visually impaired advisory group been informed about this? I was the chair for 10 years. I think we should be in on this, don't you, Mary?
Well, we closed it down here.
Yeah, I know you closed it down, but surely we should have been invited to that. Seeing as it's to do with us, we were there in the consultation from the beginning.
I'm sure we'd welcome all feedback, all views, and you'd be very welcome to join and help support the work that we do to improve that. And perhaps it's a topic we can pick up to make sure we make the connections. I've got Lisa and Yvette nodding at me behind there. Lisa's our new chief nurse, and Christina reports to Lisa, so I'm sure we'll find a way, Lisa, of making sure that we respond to everyone who's got expertise and insight into this to help us improve it.
Thank you, because we've actually, many years ago, we actually were involved with speaking to Christina.
Over 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Right, where did the mic go? Right, yes, sir, the gentleman in the red...
my name is Paul Landry, and I've been a patient in this hospital after recovering from a back operation. The thing is, and I was speaking to Julian earlier on, I spent about a week and a half in Beckywood, which is not a very nice place, unfortunately. Yeah, I was referred to knocking it down. But what I was going to ask was, that obviously, with Brexit and all this, what effect you can have on your staff, because especially the water was 125 at LGI and J30 at the Beckywood. Most of the staff are from all over around the world. So, it's one hour's an effect. And one last thing. Looking at your video, it appears you seem to have forgot about the ophthalmic services and the spine and orthopedic services. So my question is, what effects are going to have on your staff? And also, you just know about the Becky wing as well. It's a bit of a disgrace, is that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Yeah, oh, definitely.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
We had a chat about it before, but just for the benefit of everyone to say, so first of all, I'm glad you've had your operation, because you and I met when I was spending a bit of time in the service. And I think what I'd say is that, first of all, the reason we want to, as you saw in the presentations, invest in and redevelop our site and estate is that we've got a number of parts of the trust estate that we're not proud of, that does need improvement, that does need to be rebuilt. And you highlighted your experience on Ward 25 and then I think on J30. And just to say that those of you that are faithful attenders of our AGM will recall about 3 years ago, such was the pressures that we were working on as a trust in relation to urgent care, that we went into partnership with a nursing home provider to create additional capacity in order to ensure that we had somewhere for our patients to be cared for, to relieve some of the main wards of those pressures. Now, that's a service we run in partnership with an organisation called Villa Care. We supervise their activities closely. Villa Care was subject to a Care Quality Commission inspection earlier this year. They work out of Wharfdale also. Service at Wharfdale overall rated good. Service at Beckett Wing requires improvement. So we do need to make sure that we improve that, and I know that my team are working hard with the leadership of Villa Care to improve standards. We've increased our input into that area, but I'm afraid this is part of the challenge we have with the levels of pressure that we're working under in terms of finding outlets to make sure that we care for our patients in settings appropriate to their needs. I think I'd also underline what I said in my presentation about the need to improve and develop community services, reablement, and getting patients into their own homes and other community settings more quickly. So I take on board all of your points, Paul, and thank you for raising them, and we'll make sure that we reflect on that, because your story and the story of many other patients that have been through our wards and departments is important learning for us to genuinely improve what we do.
It's not a fit place for someone to recover. It's not a very fit place for someone to recover.
Yeah.
You know, when someone that's at an awful place like that, you know, it puts people off. I know that one gentleman I was with, you know, was very subdued, but when we got him back into the rehab centre in Secret, it completely changed because it was in the better surroundings, you know, the nicer surroundings, and people were nice, things like that, but it's a real dump, is that, and it shouldn't be like that.
And there's no argument that the right environment and the right kind of setting for patients makes a huge difference to recovery. We know that. So we would love to be able to provide world-class estate everywhere, but of course we've got the challenge of the pressures and the level of investment. But as you've heard, we've worked really hard to put £44 million into capital in this organisation. So we're in a better place than we were, but still more to do.
Right, next question please.
Thank you. My name is John Puttis. Lots of fantastic things going on in the Trust, so congratulations to the team. I did work here for many years and I'm proud to have worked here. But recently I went to Chapel Allerton X-ray department. I've been there a couple of times, and the first thing I'm asked is how long have I lived here for? Now I understand that the reason for that is to help establish my eligibility to free care. And in fact there are posters displayed warning patients that they may not be eligible for NHS care. Charging for overseas visitors was introduced several years ago after an amendment to the Immigration Act, and it was part of the hostile environment aimed at making life difficult for migrants. Let's think Windrush here. And let's be clear, this is not primarily about charging so-called health tourists. They're a bit like unicorns, you know, they're often talked about but rarely seen. The policy is justified on the grounds that it brings money into the NHS, but this cannot be accepted as the overall costs associated with setting up a system for charging, staff costs, etc., are greater than the income generated. In any case, many people can't afford to pay the 150% of normal NH tariff that they are charged, and they're then reported to the Home Office so that their applications for leave to remain are rejected and they face deportation. Now, up to January this year, this trust had charged 1.7 million to overseas visitors and recovered only half of that. We're talking about 1,300 patients, and 13 of them were reported to the Home Office for non-payment of debt. These are destitute patients by and large. The Royal College of Physicians, Paediatricians, Obstetricians, Midwives, the Faculty of Public Health and the British Medical Association and the Academy of Medical Royal Colleges have all said that this charging should be dropped because it's effectively a barrier to patients who need care getting care, and it's having negative effects not only on individuals but also on public health and also on staff who are turned to some extent into immigration officers. I understand that the Trust has a legal obligation to charge overseas visitors and simply cannot stop doing this. But my question is, and this is something which you may want to take away and think about rather than answer now, my question is, will the board consider stating that in principle, like the Royal Colleges, it is opposed to these charges as damaging to patients and staff? And will the board commit to stop sharing information with the Home Office and consider how to work with faith groups and others currently promoting Leeds as a city of sanctuary and make the Trust a safe and welcoming place for all who need access to healthcare? Thank you.
Yeah, okay, Simon. Yeah, I was going to do that, but you can do it.
If I can just deal with a couple of aspects of it. And then
Yeah,
perhaps
fine, absolutely, the legal part.
The question for the board, I think, Linda.
Yes, it's fine.
So what I'm really pleased about in your question is you recognised that this is a legal requirement. So we do not have an option around operating this system. What I am proud to say is that because my team that administer the system, obviously clinical staff have to ask the initial questions, is that we do that in the most appropriate and sensitive way that we can. And that, just to remind that in terms of refusing treatment or anything like that, anybody requiring emergency treatment is treated just as they would be from wherever they come from. So in terms of our statutory responsibility, we do discharge that statutory responsibility, but we do that in the most sensitive way possible. In terms of the board
in terms of the board, John, we're not a political organisation, as you're well aware, and there are platforms for your comments. I think this one just finished, probably is not going to happen any minute now. So I think that's the appropriate platform by which to try and change the legislation. Would our board consider it? I think perhaps we can certainly, I'm more than happy to say to my board, do they wish to discuss it? That's not a problem. It's a very open and free agenda forming board. However, we are locked into the legislation that we are told by our regulators and we will adhere to. So I think on the political side, John, it's a difficult one to answer for you, and we all care about folks. We work very hard as an organisation, which you heard, right across the city for the care of whoever. In fact, the latest initiative that we've just done with local authority and some of our partners across Lincoln Green, thank you. We've found 2 doctors, I think it's 3 nurses, and we've taken on 30 odd staff across Lincoln Green. So I'm quite proud of the work we do with the immigrant populations. on top of the religious part that you mentioned, then I see the chaplaincy often. You're right, we have an awful lot of our staff who are from, goodness knows, all over the world, and we care about them too. So I think we're probably addressing some of your issues, but in a different way. And it's probably our way and the Leeds way. Okay? Who's next? Have we got a mic, please? I think there's a lady at the back, sir, but we'll get to this gentleman.
Thank you. My name is Pat Nelson, patient representative. There's been much talk of the technologically advanced buildings and equipment. A top-class service cannot be delivered without adequate staff. What steps are being taken to meet the current shortage of staff and meet the forthcoming demands without the need to go to agencies?
Indeed.
Which never meet the standard of NHS trained staff.
Absolutely, we put a huge amount of work into the agency piece. Julian.
Thanks. Is it Pat?
Yes.
Pat, hi Pat. So I'll start, in terms of answering your question, I'll start with the challenge we're facing across the NHS nationally, because we are a part of the NHS, we're one of the biggest organisations in the NHS, so of course we feel strongly the overall impact. And I spent the first 3 months of, from January to April of 2019, working on the people plan for the NHS, because we recognise that we have a gap of around 40,000 nurses. We have significant challenges with recruitment of doctors into a whole, particularly rural and coastal hospitals. So if you were to go to Grimsby or Scarborough, you'd find hospitals far less well endowed with doctors as we are here. However, there is also significant shortages in healthcare scientists, AHPs, and it's a national challenge. So the interim people plan was an attempt to look at how we could address that challenge. And the number of key things that we put in place that we are doing and that we plan to do. The biggest crisis is undoubtedly in nurse staffing, and nurses play a fundamental and crucial role in the delivery in multidisciplinary teams and the experience of our patients. So that's where we started in terms of responding to the challenge. So in terms of nursing, and I'll ask Lisa to comment on what we're doing, but certainly undergraduate nursing, attracting more nurses into the profession, despite the removal of the bursary, which obviously has had an impact, but the importance of creating more placements for nurses in our hospital wards is a key driver to enable higher educational institutes like University of Leeds, Leeds Beckett and so on, to bring more undergraduates into courses that eventually will feed through. Working on retention, because although we have a big challenge with recruitment, first and foremost we need to keep those nurses we have already got, which means we need to treat them well, we need to give them flexible working, we need to try to ensure that they're not stressed out and overworked, that we need to try and find ways of supporting them with roles like nurse associates and so on. And we are doing a lot of work on all of that here in Leeds to try to promote that. Making sure that we are the best place to work is a key enabler for retaining our staff. So what you heard me talk about in terms of our staff satisfaction and where we are on the staff survey is very important to us. And our turnover of nurses is, I think, less than the national average, and certainly working hard to make sure that we, Jenny's nodding at me, that's good, I got that right, that we're doing more and more to make sure that we retain our nurses. The other part of this is how we use our support workforce and how we ensure that what we create through the academy in terms of apprentices coming through the organisation, developing into more senior roles, so nurse associates ultimately becoming qualified nurses. There's a whole kind of series of career pathways that are opening up now to enable us to maximise that in the future. What all of that doesn't give us is an overnight improvement. And we've still got a number of areas in this trust where we're struggling with staffing, and I don't think there's a hospital in the land that could say they are fully staffed. But what we are looking at is how we can fill that short-term gap with some measures, including looking at overseas recruitment, including looking at some other things. And overseas recruitment is often, certainly, is one of those subjects that is really important to say. This is not about denuding other nations of their clinical talent. This is about creating sustainable kind of approaches. And there are a number of things that we're doing. So I'm going to shut up there. And perhaps, Lisa, do you want to say something about some of the things we're doing here in Leeds?
Hello everybody, my name's Lisa Grant, I'm the Chief Nurse. I've been in post now for the last 6 months. And as Julian said, we've been doing quite a lot already before I even got to the organisation with regards to retaining our fantastic nursing workforce, but also thinking about the future. So, as Julian said, we're working with our university partners and increase the number of placements. So for the future, we have more student nurses coming through our pipeline. But in addition to that, it's also about investing in our staff who want to develop further. So our clinical support workers, we're giving them a lot of opportunities to develop if they wish to become a registrant as a nurse in the future. And we're leading the way in Leeds, certainly, around having the nurse associate role. So we've already graduated around 20 nurse associates, which is a sort of a hybrid role between the clinical specialist, clinical support worker and the registered nurse. It is a 2-year programme, and the nurse associates are on the nursing register in their own right and can do a lot of the skills as a registered nurse, and we're seeing more of them come through. And certainly between now and October 2020, we're going to have in the region of around 150 nurse associates who will be available within our clinical areas, who will be supporting the registered nurses to provide the very best care that we can. With regards to retention, we're developing something very special for Leeds, because coming into this fantastic city, I've asked the question is, why would nurses want to come here? What is different about us, and what do we offer that is certainly different to anywhere else in the country? So we are developing a nurse programme, a nurse and midwifery programme that we will hopefully start to rotate our nurses through to develop them even further and build on the fantastic skills they already have. And we hope to graduate them next year, and that will help retain the nurses in this city and also attract people to this city, working with our university partners to say, come to Leeds and come and have a fantastic experience. And certainly with all what you've heard today about the future around the new hospital, again, that will be something that we need to market to attract nurses to this city.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm conscious of the time, and people have buses to catch, so please feel free to go. We'll just have I think probably we always run over at this point, a couple of questions. The gentleman halfway, that's it, definitely. You've been trying for a while, so apologies.
Yeah. Every picture tells a story. And this is a really miserable comment, and I hope you'll accept it. But when I was invited to this meeting, I emailed a reply saying, yeah, thank you very much. I followed that up with a telephone call. Yet never down my name on the list when I came. And then we had the business of making people audible, whereas any teachers in the audience at the moment say it's really vital to check your audio equipment before you start. It's a miserable comment, but it's stuck in my mind. However, I was absolutely delighted. I wrote down 4 subjects before you started and got comments on most of them. One, for instance, though, it didn't give me any more information, but at least the matter of stillbirths was raised, which when I was more involved in these things was certainly worrying in Leeds. Second, energy for all of your plant. Is that being worked on independently, and have you got a goal? Don't expect answers now, by the way, but I was pleased to hear those things. And I think I ought to say about 2 or 3 years ago, I joined an organisation called Cynics International, and they produced a monthly magazine, but I stopped taking it because I couldn't believe a word of it. And in a sense, you do well at an AGM to fly the flag, but I did have a feeling that some things were left in doubt. And if you wish, I could give you information about our dental hospital, which doesn't, in my experience, quite bear up to what was said. That's simply patient experience, not just me. I think lastly, I think the Director of Finance ought to be prepared for some sort of retirement from business, because somebody's going to have a magic ball when you have your new buildings going up. I suppose I've briefed over 100 public buildings in Leeds over the years, but the briefing for your building must be absolutely extraordinary when it comes to it. And in a sense, every hour or every day will present issues of which account needs to be taken, and which will inevitably mean that your initial costing on the building, I'm afraid, will go out of the window. Thank you very much for that. I'll write on some of those.
Okay. I don't think we've got time to answer all those, and I don't want you retiring just yet, Simon, so that's out of the question. And I think we have done a lot of work to cover those issues, but I think we could reply in a bit more detail there, and we certainly will. As for energy, we're really on top of that one. So we regularly discuss how we've manoeuvred that into a completely different place, in the same way that we've definitely manoeuvred our ambition into a different place. So I can assure you that what we've got now is certainly not going to deliver the kind of services that you're looking for, including the dental hospital, in the future. So we have to invest, therefore we have to make the efficiencies. So it's a kind of one follows the other. But we will answer those because there's a really good story to tell on both those things. The Dental Institute is a constant reminder to us of the lack of adequate service there is in the community that finishes up on our doorstep, that we have to then tackle. And we are, funny enough, just this morning, we're going to open something else to help that facility off the Dental Institute site, purely and simply because we are the regional piece again that takes all the difficult stuff. But I'll just give you a story now, because DNA's easy to criticise. If my child had a referral to a dental hospital and or the children's hospital for a first appointment that the GP deemed was the right thing to do, and yet 30% do not turn up, what cost, not just to this organisation, but to the NHS? So we have, as citizens, to take responsibility for our own actions when we're wanting the service of the NHS. And I think if there's any message that really you could take out, is to be we have to be more responsible in the way that we look at our service and expect our services to work for each and every one of us. Because at the moment, it doesn't work for everyone, and it's a shame it doesn't, because we're wasting money there. It's appalling. It's absolutely, particularly for me, with children, because they don't make their own decisions. The parent makes that decision, and that's a social thing. So it's a bit of a condemnation on society, I would suspect at the moment. But I do feel particularly strongly, as my team know about people who do not attend. Because it does waste money. But we'll come back to you, sir, because you've made some very valid points. Is there anybody really burning, thinking, gosh, they've not covered it, I need to know, I'm desperate to know? Because I'm very conscious that the audience is leaving. Have we? Jane is rushing down here. Thank you. Lovely to see you again. Yes, sir.
I'm Jeff Miles from Leeds. It's all seems to me
the world is.
How can you unravel the situation between the carers and the Foundation Trust?
The carers and the family.
You've got carers, charity, and you've got the Leeds Teaching Hospital Foundation Charitable Trust.
Oh, it Leeds Cares. Yes.
Yes, but
Carers Leeds.
well, Carers Leeds is Carers, that's separate altogether. But there is a confusion. People think there's a connection there. It's very similar in name. I know it's a different office. But the Leeds Teaching Hospital Foundation Charitable Trust was before Leeds Carers.
Indeed. Leeds Cares. Yes.
Leeds Cares?
Yes.
So therefore, is there any connection between those two organisations?
Well, the one was the old organisation that just changed its name.
Well, why didn't the people that subscribed to the old one were told if you left money to the old one, is that money transferred to the new one automatically?
Andrew,
Well,
it is, definitely is.
We don't know.
What I can do is I'll have a chat
We
with
don't
you.
know.
Yeah, so it's here.
And I'm not the only one, because as you said before, Leeds Teaching Hospitals, the LGI, the Jubilee Wing, and their charitable organisation, and the cancer unit, we have patients coming in from 70 miles radius, bringing patients in to be treated, and some of their families leave money to these charities, and they need clarification. And I think it's important. If that's clarified, then you get more money into Leeds Cares.
I think you've made a very valid point, and it's thinking of the trustees' meetings on legacies, which we just discussed at the last trustees' meeting. And I think we have, as an organisation, not LTHT, Leeds Cares, perhaps let that drift somewhat, but you mentioned it at the last trustees meeting, and it's something now that's got a real focus. But do you want to speak to this gentleman offline? Because I think it would be helpful, Andrew, for you to explain the work in progress and where we've been, perhaps in this last year, of sorting out the changes to where we're going in the future, which will be very different.
Yes,
okay.
With my pleasure.
Okay. And as I said, we have run over, we nearly always do here, so my apologies for those people who have stuck with us. I can't see that, unless you tell me any different, that there's anybody burning out there to say you're ignoring me. Can I thank you enormously for those who have stood the test of the time. You've been sat here a long time, but it's really, really good to have you with us. And it's even nicer to share. You know, we need to learn. I think we said, you know, we don't get everything right. We don't pretend to get everything right. No business does, whether it's private or public sector. The only thing you have to do is to remember that you're learning from it. And therefore, you try not to make the same mistake again. And, well, we are listening. And that's what this AGM is all about. It is to listen to people. And hopefully, we've shared with you our ambition for this future. We've come a long way in 5 years. A long, long way. But we're still on the journey. And the NHS has a long journey, as we proved last year, 70 years, but we're still in there fighting, and we will continue to do that in Leeds for you. Thank you very much indeed for being with us.